Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my awesome sports show, Win It. Today, we're talking NBA. I'm talking all of the four major trades that have happened within the last 2 weeks. Which ones are they? Well, first off, I'm going to be talking about Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors, then Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies, Kristaps Porzingis to the Boston Celtics, and finally, Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns. Washington has been very busy making all these trades before the draft, and for good reason. They're in pretty much rebuild mode, Washington. So might as well trade one of your franchise players, Bradley Beal, and the other player you got, Kristaps Porzingis from the Mavs a while ago. Porzingis was averaging 23 points last year. So why not trade him when his value is nice and high? So without further ado, let's begin. Starting off with Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors. Chris Paul's playing with Steph Curry. If I told you that back in 2016, you probably wouldn't have believed me. But it's a reality now. How are they going to make it work? I think they can. Steph Curry can play off ball when Chris Paul brings up the ball, because Chris Paul's a great playmaker. The issue there is Draymond Green. If they re-sign him, because he's a free agent now, how is Chris Paul and Draymond going to work? Since they're both pretty much playmakers. The team is full of playmakers, but Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Wiggins can all create their own shot. I forgot to mention something. They actually traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul and a bunch of picks. Trading Jordan Poole was smart. His value was kind of high, but he didn't really perform for the Warriors this postseason. If it was last postseason when they won the championship, it would have been, why trade him then? Because he just helped you win a championship. He helped you go on a run and gave you momentum changers. But now, he didn't really play that well, especially against the Lakers. And in a time when you need the player, one of your most shot creators, to play well, and he doesn't, and your title window is still huge, it's still open, you have to trade him at that point if he's not performing and you still want to win that title. So they traded him to the Wizards for Chris Paul. Chris Paul, he'll help them win a title, I think. He still has a lot left in the gas tank. And he's a great playmaker. They have enough for everyone on the roster. Jonathan Kuminga reportedly grew to 7 feet 2 inches. There's your center right there. Then you have Wiggins, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. Their starting lineup could look like Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Wiggins, Draymond. Or if they want to put Chris Paul off the bench, they can go Curry, Klay, Wiggins, Draymond, Kuminga. Or even Looney can switch out for Kuminga. See, it doesn't really matter because either way, they can either have a super deep bench or a stacked starting lineup. And their shooting will still be off the chart because Chris Paul can help create those shots for their other shot creators like Moses Moody. You see where I'm coming from? With the Chris Paul to the Warriors, it takes the pressure off of Curry to keep making all the assists and creating the plays himself. It takes that pressure off of him. And that's what's going to make this Warriors team so much better this year. They can still trade Chris Paul and flip him for some younger players and help build their future a little bit. But I don't think they'll really want to do that. Just why not still compete for title? The team can still compete for the title. The team openly said, I think this core can still compete for a title, which they can. It's whether or not they want to do it with Chris Paul or not. I think they should keep him and see how it goes, but that's not my decision to make. So if they want to trade him, you have the pros and cons of trading him. And that's my opinion on that. Next up, Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies. This one took me by surprise. I didn't think Boston was going to ever trade Marcus Smart. Defensive Player of the Year, steals champ, helped them go to the finals, and defensive stalwart. I guess salary cap influenced the trade a little bit, but for Boston, their defense now kind of got a little bit, I don't want to say worse, but just not as good as it is going to be as their past few seasons, especially when we went to the finals against Golden State that year. Sure, they lost, but they went to the finals. Memphis, on the other hand, they got a whole lot better on defense. Yes, Ja Morant is out for the first 25 games. They're not re signing Dylan Brooks because he was kind of a distraction in the locker room and off court activities. But Marcus Smart and Jaren Jackson Jr. together on the same lineup creates. These are Jaren Jackson Jr. and Marcus Smart. They're both the former Defensive Player of the Years. That is a dangerous defense that Memphis is creating, especially with Steven Adams coming back from center. So, out of the trade, Memphis got better, but Boston also got better. Why? Because Kristaps Porzingis joined them. Washington was starting to unload a lot, and Kristaps Porzingis ended up in Boston. This makes their offense so much more lethal because now you have this big 7-foot guy who averaged 20 points who can shoot from anywhere. He can play. He's strong. He's fast. And with Al Horford going up in the age a little bit, Porzingis will fill that third option. Yes, they lost Marcus Smart, but Porzingis will provide interior defense as opposed to perimeter defense, which the team needs. Especially, I think they still have Brogdon, and he'll be coming back from injury too. So their starting lineup could look like Brogdon, Brown, Tatum, Horford, and Porzingis. Or if they want to go even more defense, they even have Robert Williams and Grant Williams coming off of the bench, with Derek White also coming off of the bench. Boston has a lot of solid players, and I believe that this is their year to possibly win the title once again. All right, moving on to the final trade I wish to talk about. This is Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns. Again, if I told you that back then, you'd be like, Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns? Doesn't make sense, right? But now it does. Bradley Beal is a scorer, a playmaker, and everything else you need him to be. He averaged, if you think a lot of people forget this, he averaged 30 points a few seasons ago. He's still elite. Like, in that trade was included with Chris Paul and a bunch of picks, sending to Washington, then Washington flipped him to Golden State. Bradley Beal and Phoenix, I really need to see how this is going to play out because him and Devin Booker play the same position. And unless they go with their starting lineup being Beal, Booker, and Kevin Durant and DeAndre Ayton, those are the four main guys of their offense. Unless they do with those four, with Beal at the 1, or you can even put Beal at the 3, and you can put Kevin Durant at the 4. The roster, they need to fill it up with some more guys, the Suns, because they are way over the salary cap, and they have to reorganize in a certain way so that they can actually fit enough of those solid guys. I'm not saying like superstars. The superstars will score all the points. I just need to see how they'll play together. I'm sure they'll be fine, but we never know. You know? I'm excited to see this team. You got Devin Booker, who's amazing. Kevin Durant, who's amazing. Bradley Beal. I'm going to say it again. One more time. Amazing. I just need to see how they'll work together. I think we'll see that in a lot of film over the next few weeks with the training camps and all that stuff. And I'm excited to see that team in action. So, that's my opinion on that trade. One more thing I really want to talk about is Kyrie Irving is now a free agent. And Dallas desperately needs to keep him. He helps provide a scoring opportunity that's off of Luka's shoulders. And that's really important to keeping Luka happy, to have somebody who is able to create their own shot when he's on the bench. Because the stats when Luka was on the bench and the rest of the team was playing, they had a negative, plus minus. That's not good. You need the other shot creators to help lead the offense and give everybody enough confidence to keep playing without their star players on the court. Kyrie Irving, superstar point guard. And him and Luka, they played really well together. They just didn't have too much defense, the Mavericks. But they drafted a bunch of guys in the draft the other day. and they'll help their defense a lot. Hopefully, they'll make some other changes in the roster, like maybe they'll trade away Maxi Kleber or Dwight Powell and get a proper experienced defender. Like, I disagreed with when they traded Dorian Finney-Smith. I loved the Kyrie trade. I just didn't want to see Finney-Smith get traded away because he was our best defender. And they desperately needed him those last, I think it was like 25 games of the season. They desperately needed him. Obviously, the injuries didn't help the Mavs that much because that was either Luka was sitting out because of an injury or Kyrie was sitting out of an injury. And that didn't really help the team because it didn't give them enough time to play together. I really hope they do re-sign Kyrie Irving so we can have a full season of Luka and Kyrie. And I really think that they could rival the Suns, even the Warriors and the Lakers. I think with them two, they'll be a top team in the league. But they're just missing a couple pieces on that roster. But if they don't re-sign Kyrie, I'll be pretty upset about it because he's a great player, Kyrie Irving. And I think him and Luka will do good. But if they don't, I would love to see them make a play for Fred VanVleet, who declined his player option with the Raptors. And there's speculation going on that he would need a new team. And if Kyrie doesn't re-sign with the Mavericks, why not pick up Fred VanVleet, who was I think he won Steals Champ a few years, Steals Champ and All-Star. Why not pick him up? No, he was one of the steals leaders of that year. So why not pick him up? A great player who's good on defense, who is able to create his own shot. Yes, he's not as good as Kyrie Irving, but he's a step in the right direction if they don't re-sign Kyrie. They should re-sign Kyrie Irving, and I don't know what's taking them so long not to, but they should. And if they don't re-sign Kyrie, I'd love to see them go for Fred because I think they'll just play great together. Well, and that's all the time I have for today to talk about the NBA. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe and tune in for the next episode of Win It. It's going to be a fun one.